You're so patient, Steve. We've actually been up for quite a while. T-Rex, you're so patient. Last evening, just before sunset, we did a little harvest because it was getting so cold so fast, T-Rex. Wanted to make sure I had at least enough tomatoes to last through Halloween. And there they go, out the door, where the sky's gotten brighter and it's gotten a lot warmer at 46 degrees. I know it's pretty chilly, but it's almost 10 a.m. On October 29th, it was saved by the bell from a frost here in Weymouth. Last evening, about 9 o'clock, it was already down to 38. And I was thinking, oh boy, here comes our frost. But then a cloud came in and a breeze picked up a little bit. And the coldest air was right around midnight. We were in the mid-30s. And then it warmed up to the mid-40s this morning, just after sunrise. Came out here, looked at the water, was happy that there was no frost. There, that's what it looked like at 7 a.m. And here's what it looks like at just about 10 a.m. Where are you going? What are you doing? I think that might be Adam from Wessagusset. Making sure everything's in order. The buoys are all out of the water. We are almost ready for winter here. Although, on Cape Cod, I had not drained my outdoor pipes yet because I didn't think there'd be a freeze or a hard freeze. What's the difference between a hard freeze and a soft freeze? But there was a freeze. Peter Hecking in South Dennis had some ice in his bucket. I think that bucket had some water from washing vehicles, not from rain. It certainly hasn't rained in a while. So there was some ice around southeastern Massachusetts. Phil, content weather guy in Plymouth, heavy frost in Plymouth this morning, and ice on the bird bath. Wasn't expecting that. That's what he said too. Look at the temperature map from, I don't know, it was about 7 a.m. I think when I started looking at the map, and it was colder in southeastern Massachusetts than it was in northwestern Vermont. New Bedford, Falmouth, P-Town, all at 28. Burlington, Vermont was 37. That's what happens on the backside of these cold high-pressure systems. You see the warmth coming up through New York and western Vermont first. The center of the high was right over Bar Harbor, Maine this morning, a 1037. That is a heavyweight high-pressure system. That is sinking air, that is still air, and where the sky was clear, there were some record low temperatures this morning. 17 in Bar Harbor, I think that was a record. The cold spot was 14 in Berlin, New Hampshire. I didn't check all the records, but there is that website called coolwx.com, and it's not really the most accurate data, but it does show some record low temperatures this morning. And I did check the data on Cape Cod. I was curious. In Hyannis this morning, 28 degrees, ties October 30, 2004 at 28 degrees for a record low temperature this morning on Cape Cod. So yes, it was pretty close to record cold. And in northern New England, where the warm air was coming in first, Mount Washington, the coldest part of the Mount Washington temperature profile was at the bottom of the mountain. And it was just about freezing at 4,000 feet. And so that's an inversion. And it was still really pretty, too, over at Mount Mansfield, looking a little bit like winter, 2 days in a row. And that's a pretty view there. So we tour around, we talk about the weather, and an interesting white line in the sky right there. That is a condensation trail from a jet plane going across the Atlantic Ocean. And it's mostly just H2O. It's H2O. And the cloud that we had at sunrise seems to be evaporating. The satellite imagery this morning shows sort of a haphazard cloud over central New England this morning. This is the leading edge of the warmer air. Wherever there's a boundary between warm and cold or moist and dry, there's going to be some action. And so there is some action. There are thunderstorms this morning over the Great Lakes near Lake Huron and Lake Erie. And that, you could see it a little bit on the satellite imagery there, those cumulonimbus. And here's the radar showing where those showers and thunderstorms are in western New York. And a little bit of snow there trying to fall out of the sky near Jackman, Maine, but there's no snow in the forecast at all here. The forecast is for warm up, and The day after record cold today, we may have record warm tomorrow on Halloween and into Thursday. Wait, tomorrow is not Halloween. Today's the 29th. Did I say it was the 30th before? So we're setting record lows for October 29. Tomorrow is the 30th. Thursday is Halloween, and there's the Boston 5-day, and it shows the inclining temperatures going up and clouds filling in and a couple of raindrops tonight, and then tomorrow in the low 70s. That's Wednesday the 30th, and Halloween mid 70s the 31st, and then an abrupt decline in the temperature on Friday. Midday we may be near 60 with a dew point in the 50s, and then there's a little bit of a rain shower possibility, and then the temperature just falls right down for Saturday. The weekend looks pretty good. It looks kind of bright and chilly again, and we may take a run at freezing again next Sunday night. Remember, this was the morning for several days where the Euro was saying Boston was going to perhaps be 32 this morning. Boston got to 36, and so the GFS was more accurate, and so I think those temperatures are going to be sort of underdone in the warm department. I think we're going to be closer to 80 than 75, and overdone in the cold department. I think we're going to be closer to 40 than 30 on Monday morning. So should we go forward with the forecast? Yes, Tim, we're waiting patiently, 6 minutes in. The National Weather Map advisories, watches, and warnings. A huge area with winter storm warnings there in western Colorado and Wyoming and Utah. And then you have all that gold. Those are wind warnings in effect, right on the boundary between the new cold coming pressing south in the Rockies and the record heat that is in the Central Plains. There will be severe weather across the nation, in the middle of the nation, from Texas probably up to about Iowa. And all those red shaded areas, those are high fire danger. It looks like our fires have been put out here on the North Shore. We'll talk more about that and more. I don't see any smoke coming up. So here's the forecast map. Those storms in the west are going to drive through the Central Plains into the Great Lakes into southeastern Canada. There goes one to our north tonight with our warm front going by and a few showers. I suppose I should stop it, show you the HRRR on the rainfall. So I'll just say that it's going to rain overnight, and here's the QPF. The amount of rain that is possible. You can kind of see the arc from northwest to southeast, with the most rain coming across northern Vermont. There may be a few spots at an inch of rain, and the least amount of rain looks like Connecticut. Oh wait, what's that? So easily distracted. A lot of smaller airports around Logan Airport. It's amazing how they can do the air traffic control. The rainfall amounts are at least in southwestern Connecticut and most in north central Vermont. And then it kind of dissipates over Maine. It's going to be a weakening warm front coming in here. And so probably less than 1/10 of an inch of rain in Boston. But that'll be the most rain we've had in a couple of weeks around here. Very pretty foliage. Workboat going out to work. Now let's go to the Euro. Back to the Euro with the front coming into New England after trick-or-treat time on Halloween Thursday. And it looks like there is some cold behind it. Most of the precipitation is going to be ahead of it, so it'll be in the form of rain. And that rain will be diminishing as it comes into southern New England on Friday. And then we do get into colder air, and it's a nice-looking high-pressure system. Notice the blue lines, the 540 lines, are not really penetrating south. So it's not really a deep cold air mass, but it's a shallow, heavy cold air mass with that high-pressure system. So we will have frosty mornings here on Saturday and Sunday and probably Monday before another storm starts coming at us. And this one looks a little bit more interesting with the front stalled over New England. We may have a wintry mix in parts of northern New England on Election Day next Tuesday, that purple there, and then it gets warmer with the front right over us next Wednesday, and then that presses south next Thursday, and it doesn't look too cold, really. It doesn't really look very cold at all. And then if we get out to day 10 and stop it, it looks like there's a sort of elongated, stretched out trough of low pressure with that snow in Colorado and the 540 line bending way down there from southeastern Canada into Colorado with some pretty decent cold in eastern Canada. But what I really see here is western Canada You see the 552 up there with the westerly winds, those isobars, and southwestern Canada. That looks like record warmth flooding Canada late next week, which would be really bad news for people trying to start their snow guns and have a World Cup here the last weekend of November at Killington. I know it is always right down to the wire, but I don't really see any sustained cold all the way in through first 10 days in November or so. All right, the weather part of this forecast is over. The weather is done now for the and more. Yesterday, as we admire the last moored boat here off of Wessagusset in the Wessagusset workboat. I think that's Adam, looking over toward Hull. And I don't know, I got something coming through the gut there. Looks like it's coming pretty fast toward us. Maybe that's a ferry. So we were watching the same skyline right here with the smoke for the last several days. And that smoke, when that front came in yesterday morning, it brought the wind from the north, and we had very smoky air here between 10 a.m. and noon before it really cleared out. And that was, it was not comfortable. I couldn't imagine having homes right next to the fire. It must have been stay indoors and keep your windows closed. It wasn't really a big forest fire or anything. It was just a ground fire, and it looks like it's out anyhow. We monitored that, did a little time lapse on the smoke, and then enjoyed the fact that it turned so beautiful here in the afternoon. It was so cold. And I did some watering of the garden. You know, if you had wet soil, it was more likely that you saved your plants. And so I watered it. It's a lot more challenging for Mother Nature to cool off a wet garden than a dry garden. So I just want to see how long we can keep these tomatoes going. It looks like we're going to make it at least through the weekend. So we are going to get into November. And there's celery. Celery still looks pretty good. So just hanging on. Simple little garden. And composting for the worms. Guess how many barrels of leaves that is right there? That's one barrel. I walk up the street and I get leaves from my neighbor's backyard for worm chow for the worm farm. All right, here's the and more from yesterday. Yeah, T-Rex, we're going indoors. Oh yeah, I'm playing with T-Rex in the yard last evening. That was fun. Smell of smoke. Look at that, the wind, see the flag pointing right at me, and that's where the fires are burning up there. Milford and Salem, and you can see the smoke. It only goes up so far now because we have a high pressure system, and it creates kind of an inversion. And so it's low level smoke, and I'm sure it's being smelled all throughout Boston. And you can see the haze into Boston. So why don't we see if we can make a little time lapse. Notice yesterday the smoke was moving off that way, offshore, and now it's coming right at us. Different tripod working here. Try that. And the table moves. Of course the table moves. Everything's broken all the time. Try this. Yeah, that'll work. So I'm going to try and make a little time lapse of the smoke coming right down from the North Shore and the clouds moving. About 11:20 a.m. Cold air advection. That's 45 minutes. The cloud has actually gotten thicker. Looks like it's sliding slowly to the east-southeast. You can see the clearing line over Hull there. And the smoke plume is kind of going up and spreading out both towards the east a little bit and right toward us still from north to south. You can see the visibility is down. Looking at Boston with the altocumulus and the smoke. Probably smell it all the way to, I don't know, Providence, maybe? Took a while. Rex, this way. Come on, come sit in the sun. Right there. Yeah, he's your favorite spot. So that smoke plume has gone that way, off to the southeast. Looks like maybe they're getting a little bit of a handle on, I believe, dual fires in Salem and Middleton. And our air is much lighter, and suddenly those clouds did evaporate and go away. So it's gorgeous afternoon, chilly. And there go the Bluefin Robotics researchers and testers with their unmanned submersible surveillance, and a plane landing toward the east. And beautiful foliage in Quincy. Look, the boat's going faster than the plane. Not true. Not true, TK. Don't mislead them. And then there's that smoke plume. Never dull. Always something. Can't see past the house, though. A little stuck there. And then we do it at the end of the day. And look who else is here. Mitt wants to come out, too. This is the end of the day. Out the door with the and more. And there goes Steve. Now, if Steve went out without a line, I would never be able to catch him. Rex I can catch. Mitt I can catch. 46 degrees, 435. I got to bring another rope line for Mitt. Let's go check the day. It's changed dramatically. Improved with the blue sky and still some breeze off the ocean. And it doesn't look like the smoke is actually coming up the way it was before. Or it's coming from farther away or something. But it is definitely still suspended in the air. And with this breeze, I'm surprised it's just sitting there. So what can happen is you can have a low-level breeze and up a little bit in the sky, there might be much less wind. So that smoke may sit there or drift back in or maybe dissipate overnight. I have to call the play-by-play on that. But it definitely improved this afternoon, and it's cold. And tonight might be the night that there's a frost here. The fact that there is this breeze is going to help us. And also, I water it to keep it a little warmer. See, it's harder to cool off wet soil than it is dry soil. And also putting some leaves in the compost pile. The worms want wet leaves to keep the garden going another week or two or so. And Mitt will just sit right here even if I don't put it. He loves sitting next to the cat, Mint. I get Mitt and Steve and T-Rex and TK. And the sun going down behind the trees. I could walk down there and get the sunset. Maybe I'll do that with Rex. And then 1 week from today, the sun will be going over the horizon at this time, and it'll be dark by 4:45. Set the clocks back. Not looking forward to that. I like going out in the evening. Well, I'd still come out in the evening. Just have to work in the dark. That's the T-Rex. Look, are we going to play? Where's the ball, Rex? He knows where the ball is. Right where we left it yesterday. Yeah. He likes to play. He's a good football player, soccer player, rugby, and yesterday chasing him around trying to get the bone out of his mouth. And see, he can head the ball. And the cats are pretty much indifferent. He can run right by them. They don't do anything. Mitt doesn't even move. Steve's got his own position. Sometimes they go over the cliff. Yeah, we did that last week. And Steve just sits there. Yeah. So you've seen this game before, right? It's a sunset game. It's good exercise for both of us. Get the blood moving. How's that? It's been watching me harvest. So we're at least gonna have this many more tomatoes, regardless of what the temperature does tonight. It's like Easter egg hunt going down for them. They're everywhere.